So good morning, kids. Our lesson for today is excretion and osmoregulation from our excretory system and also our immune system. This will be our module 7. The excretion is a process whereby waste and excess products of metabolism are removed from the blood and passed out of the body. The primary metabolic waste products are bile pigments, carbon dioxide, water, salts, and nitrogen-containing molecules. So kids, bile pigments are excreted by the liver and passed out of the body by the means of our digestion system. So ano siya kids? Ano yung bile? Kapag gin-excrete ni siya kids ang atong liver, nga green siya nga liquid that is composed of fats and acids. Ang siya kids ang bile pigments. So is it toxic or hindi? Yes, toxic kids ang bile na inapagwa na siya sa aton nga lawas. So bile pigments are excreted by the liver nga ginatipon ang bile ang pinapangkaon natin, and they are excreted outside of our body by the means of our digestive system, as we discussed sa ato na previous module. So most carbon dioxide is excreted by the lungs, while most of the nitrogenous waste, along with excess water and salt, are excreted in the kidneys. The kidneys are also our liver, carry out detoxification, altering toxic substances into forms that are not poisonous to the body. Yan detoxify ang atong kidneys, kag sang atong liver, ang atong mga toxic substances para pagwa yung kids, hindi na siya poisonous na atong kawas. So nitrogenous waste are produced from the breakdown of proteins and nucleic acids made in the form of urea, uric acid, and creatinine. Again, gina-breakdown nila ang ating proteins and nucleic acids in the form of urea, uric acid, and creatinine. Approximately 90% of all our nitrogenous wastes are in the form of urea. In the liver, enzymes break down amino acids deamination, and the amino group is now then converted into ammonia. So this is toxic to all cells, and the body must get rid of it quickly, so it combines with carbon dioxide to form your urea, which is now not toxic to our. So uric, kaya ang ammonia gan kids, toxic ang naging tagaan. Tapos ang deaminations convert our ammonia into urea, pa rin siya toxic. So uric acid is also formed from the breakdown of nucleic acids from your DNA and are found in the cells of our food eaten from the metabolic turnovers of nucleic acid and our ATP. While creatinine is derived primarily from creatinine found in muscle cells, so these substances plus our water form our urine. So again, kids, this is the composition of our urine. Ang atong kids nga ammonia, inasulod naton, gina-break down through deamination. After mo breakdown, kids, nag-ano siya, nagiging amino acids. Again, after naman tayo, ang carbon dioxide naton, ga-combine siya kids to form your urea. So, after uric acid is also formed from the breakdown of your nucleic acids para maka-form ka sang imo urine. So, ano-unod sa imo urine kids is urea, your uric acids, your nucleic acids, and your ATP, while creatine is derived from your creatine. Sa aton na masasas, it is also secreted sa aton nga urine. So, therefore, tanan sila kids components ng imo nga urine plus ang imo nga water. So, that is the components of all our urine. At liwat, ano to siya? It is your urea, nga halin sa ammonia, your uric acid, your nucleic acids kids, tapos imo ATP. Kag, lastly, your water, that is the components of your urine. So, hindi man kids, ang scientific, kagid bala, nga explanation, di ito lang tandaan. All the important parts lang. Tapos, for example, sa ating excretion of ano tandaan hindi kids? Excretion, anong process of excretion? The definition itself, ang mga tandaan kids, yung akong palibog, okay? So, I hope tanawon yun ni kagtunan ang aton na recording para hindi na ako magsala kung ano patunan niyo. The process of maintaining osmotic and ionic concentration of the body fluid is now your osmoregulation. Pag-maintain sa imo osmotic and ionic concentration, that is osmoregulation. So animals regulate this process according to their external environment. Osmoregulation and excretion are intimately related. So these processes together maintain your homeostasis. Kaya again, if may ginaalang-alang di sa osmotic or sa ionic concentrations, osmoregulation will be the one to balance it out in order for you to maintain your homeostasis. Kung may sobra sa osmotic pressure tayo, naton, or ionic concentration may sobra, i-balance out man naton. Again, to maintain your homeostasis, meaning para maging balance ang imong lawas and in order for you to stay alive. So both functions are performed by the same set of organs. The kidney is the major organ of osmoregulation and excretion in us, the vertebrates. An osmoregulatory animal is generally in an osmotic steady state and maintains relatively constant concentration of internal salts and water. The intake and outflow of water and salts are equal and is maintained at the cost of the energy obtained from your adenosine triphosphate. Your ATP, again, kids, ato na mga previous modules, sa ATP, it is your mitochondria. That is the powerhouse of your cells. So, kung wala ATP ta, wala ta energy. Baton pa na. So, excretion is correctly applied only to substances which must cross the cell membrane and leave the body. So, excretion, kids, nga pag-aasa sa toxic waste natin sa lawas para hindi kita ma-bog down. This does not include the expulsion of undigested food materials, egestion. Siya, kids, na ito, ang imo nga expulsion of undigested food. For example, mag-vomit ka. Kaya ba yung siya gagawa? That is not. Since the food passes down the digestive tract without ever passing through our cell membranes, egestion na siya. Next, you have your major excretory processes. Nitrogen, kids, is the main constituent of amino acids and proteins. Ang amino acids at proteins natin, sila ni kids ang responsible for our muscle and cell repair. Diba? Tandaan niyo pa na amino acids and proteins are responsible for our muscle and cell repair. Kung may madamage na cell, may madamage na kitang mga muscles, may magisi, our amino acids and proteins are the ones fixing those cells. Excess amino acids, therefore, animals receive through their diet are catabolized either for release of energy or are used for synthesis of glycogen and fat. In the process, excretory products, predominantly ammonia, urea, and uric acid are formed in any of the following processes. So these 5 processes are of the following. You have your ammonotelism, your ureotelism, your uricotelism, and guanotelism. So these are the 4 processes nila, kids. So basahan nyo lang na, kids, but I will explain this as simple as possible. So animals that excrete mainly ammonia. The end product of protein metabolism are called ammonotelic. Again, kids, ang nagapagwa sang ammonia klase animals through their end product of protein, these are called ammonotelic. Kids, from the word itself, ammonotelic, masagapagwa ang animals ta, ga-excrete sila sang ammonia, they are ammonotelic. So ammonia diffuses through the cell membrane of cells in the skin, gills, or kidneys extremely fast because of its high water solubility and small molecular sizes. While they can be produced with little energy, they are toxic in concentrated solutions. Kaya again, kids, ang ammonia natin is toxic in itself. Therefore, they should be excreted promptly with lots of water ang inasama sa kids in order para pag-excrete sa aton na kids, hindi na pure ammonia, hindi na masakit sa aton na excretory system. Ammonotelium is likely to occur among aquatic animals like bonefish, amphibian larvae, and your crocodiles. So, these are an example of your ammonotelics nga kasi animals excreting ammonia. So kids, basta nag-excrete kami ni ammonia, your process is known as ammonotelism. Next, you have your ureotelism. Animals excrete mostly urea are ureotelic. Ammonia is converted, kids, particularly sa excretory system natin sa page 1 sa module. Ammonia is converted into urea, which fit the habitat of terrestrial mammals and semi-terrestrial adult amphibians. Although urea is less toxic than ammonia and need less water to excrete, it requires a higher amount of energy to produce it. So kids, matiyag mo dito na below ureotelism because we convert our ammonia into urea, a less toxic na substance, and gina-combine sa water para pag-excrete through our urine. Kaya ano kita, we are terrestrial mammals. Kaya kina-excrete natin siya into a urea that is diluted with water. Ginapagawa natin sa aton na excretory system like our penis or our vagina. Pagpagawa natin da hindi na siya masakit and it is now not toxic. Kama sa inano pa imo hindi siya makapatay sa imo pero higko sa very good niya dirty. Next, you have number 3 sa process. You have your urecotelism. Animals excrete a major portion of nitrogenous waste in the form of semi-solid or solid uric acid. They are called your uricotelic animals, like your birds, lizards, snakes, terrestrial insects, and snails. Here, ammonia is converted into a less toxic, relatively insoluble uric acid which can be excreted with relatively less amount of water. So that is your urecotelism. And guanotelism, kids, arachnids excreted, maghamak ng arachnids, kids, ano gusto so ng damang, mga muna. So they excrete mostly guanine, hence are said to be guanotel. The product is relatively non-toxic but more energy is needed to produce it. So kids, in simple terms, para po sa inyo kung nagkapagwa kids ang animal naton sang ammonia, it is ammonotelic and the process is known as ammonotelism. Kung ka-produce naman sang urea, it is now ureotelic. And the process is called ureotelism. If nagapagwa naman siya kids sang inyong semi-solid ng uric acid naman sa urea, if the animal is a uricotelic animal and the process is called urecotelism. Muna siya pagka-positive yung kids and kung nag-produce naman ang animal sang urine, sang guanine, it is now called guanotelic and the process is called guanotelism. So kids, suppose na siya ammonia if ammonotelism and ammonotelic, urea if ureotelism ang process and the animal is ureotelic. Sir, kids, do tongue twister bit. And kung mag-produce naman sa sang uric acid, the animal is called uricotelic animals and urecotelism is its process. And kung guanine naman, guanotelic ang animal, ang iya process is guanotelism. So kids, these are good to know. Sa imong major excretory processes, apat na sila. Next, sa ato ng excretory system, kids, we have 4 types of organs. First, you have your kidneys. Next, you have ureters, urinary bladder, and lastly, your urethra. First, yung kidneys, kids, ang pinaka-importante. They are bean-shaped ni sila, kids, ng mga mga organs na makita nila siya sa dalom pag may picture siya sa next page. So first, kids, you have your kidneys. They are compact, red, brown, oval, bean-shaped. Kids, bean-shaped, di man legit nga dako lang nila nga shape. Are located on the dorsal wall of the abdominal cavity, and the right kidney is slightly lower than the left kidney, about 4 inches in length and weighs about 4 ounces. So kids, ang iya location is just good for you to know, but hindi nyo because on don't show your kids. So each kidney has an outer convex surface and shows an indentation on the inner side called our hilum. The hilum functions as a route and end-to-end exit for the blood vessels, the lymph vessels, nerves, and ureters of the kidney. Next, the renal artery branching from the aorta brings oxygenated blood to the kidneys, and the renal vein takes the oxygenated blood away to the vena cava, the paired adrenal glands are present on the anterior side of the kidney. So, kidneys, kids. Tandaan nyo lang siya ang iyang shape. They are compact, red, brown, and a keyword na bean-shaped structures. Basta mga bean-shaped structures, these are our kidneys. And they are located on the dorsal wall of our abdominal cavity. Mga abdominal cavity, dira sa mga abs natin that pwede nila. Next, number 2 sa excretory system natin ng organs, you have your ureters. This is composed of a pair of tubes, each about 10 inches long and conveys a urine and conveys urine from each kidney into the urinary bladder. So, purpose naman ng ureters natin is they convey urine halin sa kidney naton pakadto sa urinary bladder. So, in a simple sense, ano siya kids? Alagyan sang aton nga urine or ang aton nga ihi. It is the pathway of our urine. Ano na siya ang purpose ng ating ureters. Next, we have your urinary bladder. It is a hollow, extensible reservoir of urine and changes its size and shape according to its content. It is situated behind the pubic symphysis in male and in front of the uterus in the female. It has an average capacity of 7 ounces and a maximum capacity of 10 ounces. In females, the urethra opens in front of the vagina, meaning sa dalom nga parts ng inyong, sa babaw nga parts ng inyong vagina dante, drago ang aton nga ihi sa urethra. In males, the urethra passes through the penis. Isa mo lang buo natin, diba, sa mga lalaki, and transport both urine and sperm. Next, you have your urethra naman, kids. This is a tubular structure which acts as the passageway of urine from the urinary bladder to the outside. The male urethra, kids, is S-shaped, about 8 inches long, and it is composed of 3 regions: the prostatic that passes through our prostate, the membranes which passes to our urogenital diaphragm, and the spongy extends to the urethral orifice of the glans penis. Being a common passageway for urine and seminal fluid, it is both a urinary and a reproductive organ. On the other hand, the female urethra, kids, is a straight tube about 1.5 inches long. It empties urine via your urethral orifice, an opening which lies between the clitoris and the vaginal orifice. So kids, before magtingala ka, mulain niya ang iyasang lalaki ang buho naton para magpagwata sa aton niya toxic waste, and magpagwa sa aton sperm is isa lang kung sa lalaki. Kung sa babae, kids, you have different holes that serves different functions sa aton vagina. Yung sada, kids, yang ang urine niya sa urethral orifice. Kag lain man niya ang ginasudlan ni mo yung kids. Sang imong for sexual intercourse, lain-lain sila, okay? Kung sa babae, so lain na iyang ginapagyan sa ngi. Unlike sa lalaki, na isa lang. So next, you have the structure of the kidney. The kidneys are bean-shaped. Again, kids, basta mga bagong bean-shaped, those are your kidneys. About 4 inches long, 2 inches wide, and 2 inches thick. They are located on the abdominal cavity behind the parietal peritoneum. Each kidney consists of 2 regions, an outer cortex and an inner medulla. The renal cortex appears granular because of the capillaries, while the renal medulla appears darker striped due to microscopic tubules and blood vessels. So kids, maganda ka mong bean-shaped. What? These are kidneys. Kita in this picture, they are bean-shaped. After sa kids of kidneys, you're 3 meters long or more, or 6 to 8 inches ng kiss. These are your ureters, and again, in your purpose, serves as passageway from your kidney through to your urinary bladder of urine. Again, palaagyan sa urine is your ureters. Next, ginastore ang urine sa imong urinary bladder para kung excrete na sa urethra, ready na siya. So that is the passageway of our urine. Okay? So kids, next we have our Bowman's capsule and glomerulus. So first, ano siya? The glomerulus is surrounded by a cup-shaped structure called our Bowman's capsule. The Bowman's capsule and glomerulus together is called our Malpighian body. It is lined by a single layer of flat epithelial cells. The inner membrane of the Bowman's capsule is placed closely on the walls of our glomerular capillaries. Each Bowman's capsule leads into a renal kidney tubule. The renal tubule is made up of a first content tubule descending and ascending tubes with a Henle's loop in between, a second convoluted tubule leading to a large connecting duct. The collecting duct passes through the medulla and opens in the pelvis. At the apex of the pyramid, the Malpighian body, the proximal distal convoluted tubes lie in the cortex, while the loop of Henle and mean collecting ducts are present in the medulla. The proximal convoluted tubule is lined by ciliated cubical epithelial cells, and the ascending limb, the convoluted tubule by cubical epithelial, and the descending limb is lined by the flattened epithelial cells. So kids, do not mind as these are just accessory explanations to why and how ang different natin na nag-work ang different na system sa excretory system, but hindi naman kailangan, hindi kailangan ang pathways. Kung ano ang pinaka-importante mo na ako ay pagwa sa inyo. For example, ano ang shapes ng ating kidney, ano ang itsura, ano purpose nila sa ureters, mga ano na that is what you need to memorize lang. Kung mga complicated parts, hindi mo gusto kids memorize inyo pa, hindi naman dyan mapuslan, hindi man kamo biology majors or anything. Basta may idea lang kamo. These kids, module 4, page 4 is just good to know. Okay? Next, the kidney as an organ of secretion. Yes, kids, the kidney is an organ of excretion. So the steps in the production of urine occurs in different regions of the nephron. The functioning unit of the kidney. Again, say it with me, kids. Ang nephron, ano na siya? The functioning unit of the kidney. Ang nephron na natin. The process involves the following activities. Kids, number 1 sa following activities is your ultrafiltration or glomerular pressure. Due to high intraglomerular pressure, a highly dilute fluid, glomerular filtrate consisting of glucose, amino acids, urea, and salts and water is forced to pass into the glomerular capsule. The volume of filtrate produced is 115 ml per minute in women and 125 ml per minute in men. About 80% of it will go back to the circulatory or else a person will die of urination. Okay, kids, imagine mo per minute 115 ml sa women, 125 ml per minute sa men. Kung per minute na siya, kids, kinafiltrate ka, ginihi naton. After naton ihi na kids, hindi na tayo kahalin sa basin. Amo na kids, circulate lang na sa circulatory system natin ang ibanda ginagamit natin for nutrition, pero ang mga toxic ginapagwa lang. The remaining 20% is called the primary urine, which enters the next processes. Again, kids, ang remaining na 20% ang muna sa nasulod sa primary urine, which enters the next process. Next, you have your reabsorption. From the Bowman's capsule, the filtrate is conveyed into the proximal convoluted tubule and Henle's loop and distal convoluted tubules and the collecting duct through osmosis. As the filtrate moves through this region, some of the substances are reabsorbed back into the blood by our capillaries. Ato balakid, sundan nito may veins ka, may capillaries ka. Ginasunod lang ni Bankid sa ato ng capillaries. Normally, the kidneys excrete at most 2 liters of urine every day. Reabsorption is facilitated by your antidiuretic hormone. Nga mo antidiuretic hormone kit sinapunggan niya ang aton na pag-ihi ang na siya class hormone and allowed aldosterone secreted by our endocrine glands. Next kids nga process or activity is our secretion. During the ultrafiltration, certain harmful substances like ammonia and urea and potassium, hydrogen ions, and etc. may escape filtration and pass into our surrounding capillary net. Such substances are secreted back or put back into our distal convoluted tubule and then into the common collecting duct. This results in the formation of secondary urine, which is then excreted. Kids, ang mga toxic products lang ang ginapagwa natin sa lawas through our secretion. Kaya after ultrafiltration, kag tanan is amin ka may galapo pa nga toxic products, ipagwa na siya dahil through secretion. So kids, after sang aton to 4 major organs, we have other excretory organs. First, ano to gan ang 4 nga major excretory organs? Those are our kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder. Tandaan niyo pa, bago talang i-discuss in your page 3 or 2. Araw. Total 3, you have your kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and your urethra. 4 major excretory system organs. But you have still other excretory organs like your skin, your lungs, your lungs, and your liver. So kids, naman skin excretory system, so we produce fluids sa ato ng skin like your sweat, diba? The human skin possesses glands for secreting two fluids on its surface, namely sweat from the sweat glands and sebum from our sebaceous glands. So ano ni sila kids ang sweat kag ang sebum? Anong kinalain na? Sweat is a watery fluid containing in solution mainly sodium chloride and lactic acid, urea, amino acids, and glucose. It helps in excreting mainly water and sodium chloride and a small amount of urea and lactic acid. Sebum naman yun. Ito siya kids ang inyong sweat. It is mainly water and sodium chloride and a small amount of urea and lactic acid. Seriously naman mapait ang sweat. Kay kids mayara sa sang sodium chloride, urea, and lactic acid. So, is your sweat toxic or not? Yes, of course, kids toxic man siya. Kids kay may urea siya. Kids urea is toxic. So, tani hindi nyo pagdalapan ang inyong mga balhas ha. Kung balhas, trapuhan nyo lang. Okay? Kaya bisang gamay lang na siya kids, toxic substances are still toxic. Kapin pa in greater amounts. So next we have sebum. Sebum is a wax-like secretion which helps to secrete some lipids such as waxes, sterols, and other hydrocarbons and fatty acids on the skin. Ang mamapilit-pilit that is sebum. And kung ano naman siyang almost watery, that is our sweat. So kinalain nila. Ang mapilit-pilit na nga mauwil-uwil that ang ginapagawa niya hindi na sa kids balhas, that is sebum. Okay? Next, excretory organ is our lungs. The lungs, the main respiratory organs of vertebrates, help to eliminate entire volumes of carbon dioxide produced in the body. Again, kaya kung mag-inhale ka, you intake oxygen, but when you exhale, ginapagawa mo siya, that is now excretion. Anong ginapagawa mo? Carbon dioxide. As well as some moisture during expiration. The lungs maintain blood gas homeostasis through elimination of carbon dioxide. So when the lung fails to eliminate enough carbon dioxide, the kidneys attempt to compensate. They change some of the carbon dioxide into sodium bicarbonate, which becomes part of the blood buffer system. Next, you have your liver. Toxic products like ammonia, which are produced by bacterial cells found in the large intestine, excreted by the liver. Gina-excrete the kids naman ang inyong ammonia. The enzymes convert ammonia into less toxic urea or uric acid, which are carried by the blood before it leaves the kidney. So kids, importante ang function ni liver, not just in the excretory system, but sa kadamdam mga bagay. So please kids, take care of your liver. Hindi ka mong sagay inom. Dumduman niyo na kids, ang advertisement ni Robin Padilla nga liver aid, kung gisagay inom kay kids. Again, kaya kung mag-organ failure ka na, or in which case kung plainom ka, maka-liver failure ka, gamat-amat na bag-down bilog mga lawas, kaya wala na sang ma-detoxify sang ammonia. Again, kids, please take care of your health, take care of your organs, hindi pa masagay bisyo. So the kidneys as an osmoregulatory organ. The principal function of the kidney naman is osmoregulation, the maintenance and constant physiological consistency, water balance and ion balance within the body. Body fluids, which are either extracellular or intracellular, comprises about 60% of our body weight. So osmoregulation refers to maintaining a body osmotic potential different from the osmotic potential of the environment. In other words, it is the control of the levels of water and mineral salts in the body. Next, osmoregulation kids is very important. Why? Our tissues do not lose or gain water by osmosis because the concentration of water and salts is the same inside and outside the cells. The osmotic strength of our blood depends upon how much glucose and mineral salts it contains, as well as how much water is present. If you just think about the water and assume that the amount of sugar and salts are correct, we will be able to understand that the kidney is osmoregulate. The amount of salt magets in kids in nawakalta in a while. The amount of salts and water in the urine is regulated by our two hormones secreted by the pituitary and adrenal glands. Say why? Kaya kids, you have a healthy balance of water, sugar, and your mineral salts. In order for you to reach homeostasis. Kay kids, ano gani ang salt nato na or our sodium? Ang sodium naton kids facilitate water absorption. Therefore, kung mas damo imong sodium, mas gahabok ikaw, mas gatambok ikaw, kay you retain much more water. That now the purpose of our osmoregulation, kids, kung ihiligay na natin, is to balance this out para ang imo sodium na ara sa imo lawas is just enough in order for you to live. Hindi na para maghinabok ka lang ang hinabok until maging obese ka. So kids, again, may amo na purpose ang aton osmoregulation. In order for you to have just the right amount of your mineral salts kag sang imong water, so para magtsakto lang sila, hindi ka matamaan. So kids, ano yung mga hormones na regulate sila? You have your antidiuretic hormone, first and foremost, ADH. This is secreted if blood becomes too concentrated on account of salty diet or not enough water. ADH acts on all cells of the distal tubule and collecting duct, making them more permeable to water, thus allowing more water to be reabsorbed and less is excreted, so that less urine is produced. Alcohol inhibits ADH production and causes a considerable amount of urine to be produced. Diabetes insipidus, diabetes natin kids, results from lack of ADH na naman. Thus, too much urine is produced. Kids, kung may alcohol ka, kung damdamo ka na balas ang alcohol, buhin mo ADH production and causes considerable amount of urine to be produced. Ang mga kids, gina-inhibit ya ang aton ADH production, ang gapugong balas ang aton na ihip, ang ADH. Meaning, gaihi ka kung gainom ka sa makaulugbon niya elimin. And diabetes insipidus naman, ga-result naman, kids, kung may diabetes ka, madulaan ka sa ADH. Thus, permi ka ginaihi kaya wala ka sa antidiuretic hormone. So kids, ano na purpose ng ADH? Kids, your antidiuretic hormone is the hormone responsible for you para hindi ka mag-ihi-ihi. Okay? So this explains why people afflicted with this type of diabetes urinate more frequently than normal as its symptom. Okay, again, kids, may diabetes ka, wala ka ADH hormone, you lack ADH hormone na tundamo ngayon rin ginainhin mo. And also, kung mag-inom ka alcohol, gina-inhibit or ginabuhinan niya yung ADH hormone o na kung nag-inom ka sa mahulugbon ni ilimnon, pero ka man gina-ihit-ihit. Okay? So, number 2 naman nga hormone nato is your renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. If blood volume decreases, blood pressure decreases, but normal blood osmolarity due for excessive loss of fluid, sang imong renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system mo, hemorrhage and severe diabetes is being detected and causes kidney to secrete our renin. May hemorrhage ka or severe diarrhea. This enzyme activates your angiotensin, which was inactive form in blood. This hormone causes vasoconstriction, causing blood pressure to rise to vital organs. Again, kids, ang iyan kids, kinakonstrict yan ang imong veins, kag imong arteries, kag imong capillaries. Pag constrict yan na, ang imong nga blood, kids, natural ka gamay, kaya gina-constrict kids, so ginapuga. E bala pagpuga and kids, natural blood pressure nyo gasaka. Angiotensin also stimulates secretion of your aldosterone by adrenal cortex. This hormone acts on a distal tubule collecting, causing increased absorption of sodium and thus water, so blood pressure rise. Stimulation of your adrenal cortex stress will cause aldosterone secretion, result in rising your blood pressure. So those are the two nga hormones na ginapagwa sa atong nga lawas for osmoregulation. Okay. Next, kids, we have your negative feedback. Magambal ka mo kung negative feedback. Ano siya? In negative feedback, the body responds in such a way as to reverse the direction of change. So when a change occurs in our body, two general ways in which the body can respond are negative and positive feedback. First, negative feedback natin. Again, gina-reverse siya ang direction of change. This is the type of response that is involved in maintaining constant conditions inside of the body in order for it to always reach a state of balance or your homeostasis. The second type of response is our positive feedback, means that if a change occurs in some variable, the response is to change it even more in the same direction. The result in continuing spiral of change. Cases of negative feedback work well in the following conditions. You have your dehydration. Negative feedback niya, you have your dehydration, water, logging, Excessive beer drinking, water gain, water loss. Water loss mo, paano mo water loss? Number one, through exhaled air. Number two, through sweat. Number three, through feces. Kung through feces mo, kids, through sa pagpamusuan mo na ha. Next, you have your true vomit. And next, you have true lactation, magpainom kagatas sa bata. So, kids, amo to siya ang negative feedback. So, self-explanatory na siya, kids. Read nyo lang dito ang dehydration, balaan nyo mga kids, lack of water, di ba? Water logging mo, if maging sobra ang imo absorption sang water sa imo cells. Imong excessive beer drinking, self-explanatory. Again, nasobrahan ka. Inom, you will have a negative feedback sina. Next, you have your water gain. Our bodies get water by drinking. Self-explanatory naman. Next, you have water loss. Common sense mo kung paano ka mabuhinan sa water. You will then experience negative feedback or a reverse direction of change. So that is all for our osmoregulation and our excretion nga system, excretory system. So, kinsa anong sakit ang ginabatong kung you have, ang pinaka-importante mo lang din, and this is the only disease that I will discuss, is our kidney stones. Kids, kidney stones, common sense naman sa inyo. Kung mag-build ka sang crystals of certain salts sa imong kidney, you will produce kidney stones. Gaano na yung kidney stones? Kids, they block your urine flow mo na kung may kidney stone ka, ginopran ka, kay hindi ka kaihi. They may be surgically removed or broken apart with shockwave therapy. There are various types of kidney stones depending on what condition caused their formation. About 80% are calcium oxalate. Ay, hindi nyo natingnan ang mga percent. Yeah. Basta, kids, may calcium oxalate ang kidney stone. May ara siya uric acid, may ara siya cysteine. And may ara man siya sang magnesium ammonium phosphate or lain mga components, but these are the common types of them. Pwede sila makakas, kids, through operations. Ang ilakad ako, they may be microscopic or large, or pwede sila maging large man as staghorn stones that fill our whole renal pelvis. So, kids, anong pinakamasakit? Kids, pag block kasi ang urine mo nga flow, kung dako-dako siya like your staghorn stones, nga ginapuno yung mga whole renal pelvis, matiyag makagi kayo, hindi na. Often, the stones are passed down to our ureter and the person experience much pain. Kaya again, kids, pag agit isang bato sa aton na ureter, pakato sa aton nga urinary bladder, kids, imagine mo, tubig da kids kaagi, urine mo da kaagi sa imong ureter, bayluhan siya sa kidney stone niya. So, kamo na sakit, kamo na ginakakasi kidney stone, kay masakit sa gani, kag hindi ka kaihi. Okay? They are again surgically removed, kid. Or pwede man gubon mo sila through ultrasound kung gamay malang. Para pwede sila kalabay safely and easily sa atong ureters para makakas. Kung dako-dako mo sila, operahan ka na din. So kids, advice ko lang sa inyo, if for example, may ginabatsyag na mo gamay-gamay na sakit sa inyong kidney, pa-check nyo na lang. Kaya pag pa-check nyo na yung kids, kung gamay pa man lang, hindi na ako pag-operahan. I-laser na lang na para maggamay siya, pagpaagyo na lang, kag-ihi, yung medyo sakit mag-ihi, pero okay ka na dahil. So, tapos na kids excretory and osmoregulation natin, we now have your immune system. So, our defense. So, kids, ang i-discuss ko lang di comment, ang aton lang pinaka-importante. Kids, I won't dig deeper than necessary. You have your human body's defense. The term immunity or immune response refers to all the mechanisms by the body to protect itself from foreign and harmful agents in the environment. These may be microorganisms or their products, foods, chemicals, drugs, pollen, and animal hair and dung. So, sila kids, gina-protect yaton lawas from bacteria, parasites, viruses, foreign substances in nagasulod sa lawas ta. So, ano sa tuwag, these are your immunity. Immunity may be innate or acquired. You have your innate and acquired immunity. Innate immunity derives from all those elements with which an individual is born and that the body can call forth on short notice to protect itself. These elements include body cells as well as internal components like our skin, mucous membranes, and cockroaches. Combined with these physical barriers are chemical influences such as our pH, whether alkaline or acid, are fatty acids and the enzyme lysoside. Numerous internal elements are also featured in innate immunity such as fever, interferon, and other substances released by your leukocytes. Acquired immunity at sa innate to siya kids meaning ara na termino sa lawas na meron sa skin. Meron membranes. Ang pH natin, ang acid natin. Those are innate immunities ng ara sa aton nga pwede gamiton to fight off foreign substances and bacteria and parasites and viruses. So kung sundan ka sa bacteria, kung lagnaton ka, that is your innate nga response from your immune system. Next, we have acquired immunity is more specialized than innate immunity and supplements the protection provided by innate immunity. Acquired immunity came into play relatively. So, an example of acquired immunity natin, kids, nagka-chickenpox ako ba, for example. After ko chickenpox, ang chickenpox nga na kids, may antigen siya sa chickenpox. Antigen sa chickenpox ha. After mo kuha sang antigen sang chickenpox nga na, ma-produce imo lawas sang antibody to combat the antigen of the chickenpox. So, pagwa na sa chickenpox, yung nag-ayo ka na, hindi ka naliwat maka-chickenpox. Kaya again, may antibody ka pa. May antibody ka na sang chickenpox na. Therefore, hindi ka naliwat magka-chickenpox. May antibody ka na. That is an example of your acquired immunity. Next, kids, basahan nyo lang ni kids ang aton ng mga bold mga words, kaya mo lang sila kids ang pinaka-importante. Kids, don't mind sa page 11 ang hindi bold, kaya hindi siya ang gamay lang siyang explanation. Kung ano lang gid kids ang purpose kag mga bold. That's, for example, you have your natural killer cells, you have your basophils, your phagocytes, your macrophages, and eosinophils. Kids, din sila makita sa inyong nga dugo. Again, makita mo sila sa inyong nga dugo. These are your different types of your blood cells. Okay? White blood cells, yun na. Ang eo, phago, baso, phils. Your lysozyme naman, makita mo. So, para na explanation, just read it. Next, you have your specific immune response or your acquired immunity. Microorganisms that escape detection by the non-specific innate defenses must be dealt with by more targeted response by to invading organisms. Specific responses or acquired immunity can be selectively recognized, eliminate, and remember a particular non-self or foreign maximum. Vertebrates have two forms of immune response. The cellular immune response is carried out by cells called your lymphocytes and recognize non-self cells and molecules that act against tissue, fungi, parasites, viruses are established within the cell. The lymphocyte travels in the blood and so WBC or leukocytes are bigger cells and in number compared to the RBCs. Mas dako ang WBC nato or our white blood cells kaysa kay red blood cells nato. Okay, mas dako siya. But in quantity, mas gamay si white blood cells. They can move around and insert between cells lining the blood capillaries into the tissue. Their numbers increase during infection, which is useful in determining infection. The most abundant type of our leukocytes are the phagocytes, which are important in non-specific defenses. Again, kung hindi siya specific, ang pinaka-importante is phagocyte and lymphocytes naman if they are specific defenses. So that is your cellular immune response. So there are two kinds of lymphocytes, your B and T cells. The B cells produce antibodies that are involved in humoral immune response. Again, B cells responsible for humoral immune response, while your T cells are cell-mediated immune response. And ito naman T cells kung cell-mediated immune response naman. Sorry. Again, para hindi ko magtalang, kung B cell, humoral immune response siya responsible kag involved, kung T cell, cell-mediated immune response naman. So, malatandaan ta kay B kag T cell. Involved sa humoral immune response, ano kasi cell? Sa lymphocytes, B cell. Kung cell-mediated immune response, ano na siya klase nga cell sa lymphocytes natin? That is your T cells. Okay? Ano na siya palatandaan ta? Next. Next, T cells, which are a part of our cellular immune system, do not produce antibodies. Instead, T cells have their own T cell receptors. Specific cell surface molecules that can recognize and bind specific antigenic determinants on the surface of our T cell receptors, however, recognize only processed antigen bound to proteins of the major histocompatibility complex. The binding of our T cell receptors to a specific cells initiate the destruction of the non-cell cell because their union will awaken your macrophages. Among the cells destroyed by our T cells are the body's own cells altered by viral infection. T cells are the ones which mobilize an immune response against certain organ or tissue transplant if they are not compatible with the recipient person. So when T cells are activated by an antigen, they give rise to several distinct types of T cells. Your cytotoxic T cells recognize virus-infected cells by their antigen determinants and eliminate infected by lysis. So kids, hindi nyo man siguro kailangan kita man ikadaling para sa immune system nyo. Basta tandaan nyo, ang immune system natin is in order for us to fight infections and viruses, okay? So kids, hindi nyo pag sa uluhon ang types of T and B cells. Basta kids, kung B cells or T cells, they are from your lymphocytes. Your lymphocytes are your white blood cells, okay? Your lymphocytes are important in order for you to fight your different types of cell-mediated and humoral-mediated nga mga sakit, okay? These are your responses dahil si B kag si T cell natin coming from your lymphocytes. Kids, no need na magpalibog diri. The complement system and everything that kay do para na sa medical course, yeah. So, kaksan nyo lang na kay Comsem kamo, okay? I don't need to explain this na nansin. Basta explain ko sa'yo nga importante rin siya. Important is helper T cells, cytotoxic T cells, etc. Kaya kung madula ni sila kids, again, kung madula ni si cellular immune response cells, T cell receptors, si B cells, cytotoxic T cells, helper T cells, suppressor T cells. Kids, mabag down ka mo. Mabag down ni ka mo. Why? Kay magsululod na ang mga virus kag tanan nga na kag wala ka mo sa immune response. Maamat-amat ka mo patay because your organs will be susceptible. Magabang susceptible, maging vulnerable sila kids or maging mahina sila kag dasig sila masudlan sang mga viruses gani kag tanan. Pagsulod din sa mga viruses kag tanan sa inyo nga lawas, magka-organ failure ka mo kag magsululod na mahilanato na kamo. Kinaubo na kong permi, matiyag mo niyo ang patay mapatay. Dapat halungan niyo gid ni. Kids, saan pala nyo kung ano gid ang pinakamalala nga virus? Nga gagabag to. And the best example gid para mag-get sa dayon kung madula sila maano ka. Ano nga virus? Kids, you have your HIV or your AIDS. Kids, your HIV or AIDS target your T cells, your chromosome 4 and 8. Hindi nyo siya kids gawa mag-gets kung ano nang dalamin sa inyo. Basta kids, ginapatay ang inyong chromosome 4 and 8. Napatay si B kag si T cells naton. Pagpatay na kay B kag T cells, kids, sino pa protekta sa inyo lawas ng immune system? Pagpatay na sa inyong immune system dahil kids. Wala na. Sudla na ang tanan nga sakit. So, in itself, ang AIDS hindi makapatay sa inyo. Pero ang mga sakit nga nagasululod sa inyo tungod kay napatay mo immune system sa AIDS, amo na kids makapatay sa inyo. So, kids, take care of yourself. Hindi ka mo magka-AIDS, HIV, or iban man nga virus para ang inyong immune system, kids, makusugid for me. Remember to stay clean and healthy, gid always. Next, you have your immunological memory and immunological tolerance. An important feature of our immune system is that the previous encounter with an antigen or foreign is not necessary to mount an immune response. Such responses can be elicited even if it is in the first contact of the body with a foreign material. The immune system also has immunological memory. Again, kung nasudlan ka na sa umuna nga sakit, may immunological memory ka na. Para next time nga magsulod diwat ang umuna nga sakit, may ara na ang aton lawas. Sang memory on how to fend off those types of foreign substances and diseases. Self-explanatory means siya po. Kung ano ginexplain ginagawa ng matabo, may smallpox, may chickenpox, mo na siya. After mo na dahil kuha, for example, sa chickenpox, maging immune ka na through immunization, repeat sa immunization, after mo na kuha sa immunization yan hindi ka naliwat magka-smallpox, hindi ka naliwat sulalog na, sulalog. Hindi ka na maka-polio, hindi ka na maka-diphtheria, hindi ka na maka-chickenpox. Kaya again, through immunization, kaya may ara ka sa immunological memory, hindi ka naliwat magkasakit sa mga kasi dako-dako plus sa ating immune system. So, that's yun naman na. Next, kids. Next sa ating immune system, we have our skin. Our skin, kids, is the first line of defense gid naton. Your skin is your first line of defense against foreign substances and those that can harm us. Okay? The integument or integumentary system is a fancy name for a very important blood system. Integument is composed of your skin, hair, and bone. This structure protects the human body in various ways. Your skin protects your underlying tissues and organs. Finger toe must protect the ends of your digits, and the hair provides a bit of a cushion for some areas as well as provides warmth. The skin is the largest organ of the body in terms of the surface area and covers 2 square meters or 2.2 square feet of the adult human body. It is also the heaviest with an average weight of 4.5 to 10 to 11 pounds and it accounts for approximately 57% of our body. It has an average thickness of 1.5 millimeters and thickness in areas exposed to wear and abrasion, and is thinness in the eyelids, external genital and vulva. So kids, these are the purpose of our skin. Ano nila function? This is its function, this 7. Read nyo lang as you go on. You also have your skin layers. You have your epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. It's their functions na din ang inyong tandaan. Kids ha, ang function ng nila. And kung diin sila, for example, your epidermis is the outer protective layer of the skin. Kids, siya ni kids ang pinakamatdamol malutsan mo sila makita mo ng tissues kay tanan sa imong lawas. Ha? Kids, never mind the 5 layers of your epidermis. So, basta kids, tandaan niyo siya ang outermost part sa imong skin. Ha? Outermost part sa imong skin and protects you from foreign substances. Next, you have the dermis. It is composed of elastic collagenous fibers which function. Dermis natin function kids naman niya for stretch, and strength respectively. Ano naman na siya kids. Again, epidermis, outermost part. Dermis naman natin is your bottom layer. And your hypodermis naman is your below naman outermost epidermis. Top. And the considermis naman nag-stretch naman. Okay. Next, accessory organs naman siya lang ang hair. Read na lang ninyo ang hair natin, ang nails natin. And you have your glands. And never mind na lang ang ato na skin color. Okay. Melanin man lang na can be found in yellow, brown, or black. Produces color. That is your melanin. It protects your DNA in the notice from UV radiation. Kung wala melanin, kids, masudan kung UV radiation, which can cause cancer. Okay? Makakause siya sa cancer. The amount of and color of your melanin is hereditary. Sa kids mo, puti na bigya, sa itong ka. So, kung maitong ka, you lack melanin. Again, if your melanin kids, they are the main factor in which your color of your skin is to be found. Is the yellow ka, the brown ka, and black. Next, these are just the diseases kids relate to skin color mo. Your erythema is a reddish cast from blushing, exercise, or fever. Your jaundice kids, liver disease na niya caused by deposits of bile pigments in normal liver to make which cause its skin to become yellowish. Jaundice kids, para makilala niyo, HEPA na siya. Liver disease caused by sa ato na bile pigments. Ha? That is your jaundice. And hematoma is the fancy word for bruising caused by which the escapes from the blood vessels after an injury. Kids, kung mapilas ka or mabunggo ka, kids may dako siya nga lagub. Ang dako nga lagub, that is a hematoma or bruising. So that will be all for our module 7, kids. Thank you for your time and God bless you.